What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Sim Standard. Want to take a look at this play real quick at speed, and then I'm going to go back and we're going to really break down what happens on this play in terms of what makes it the 80-yard touchdown it is. To be honest with you, a Sim player does this. I mean, I look at why plays work, I look at why plays fail, and it just so happens you're going to see two examples on pretty similar plays here with just different personnel on the field making huge impacts on the game. Now, I just want to come out and say, the players involved in this example, Matt Forte, Greg Olsen, and of course Jonathan Joseph. None of these guys are really star top 5 players in their position. I mean, don't get me wrong, Matt Forte is a great all-purpose back. Just to me, he's never really set himself apart as the elusive or the power. He's really not top 5 at either position if you're going to rate them in terms of power or elusiveness. He's just, your general, gets it done, all-purpose back, probably in the top 15 for most guys, but by no means is he elite status. Greg Olsen, again, very dependable, pretty solid hands, above average route running, decent speed, but again, really not a top 5 tight end in the league. And Jonathan Joseph, a dependable corner, like most corners in the NFL, productive, very good athlete, but you know what, maybe top 15 corner is stretch. Certainly he's not the guy that you're circling on the defense for the Bengals if you play them in terms of who you've got to take out of the equation. But you know what, this is sim football right here. When you see a tight end lined up on a defensive back, this is what you want to see. And you don't have to be the best football player or even know much about football to know if you ever get in a position where you can theoretically insert the caption, "Please don't hurt me," that, it's going to be a big play. I mean, but this is how tight ends interact with defensive backs. I know, because I've been in the defensive back's shoes as you're going up against a guy that's got 80 pounds on you, 2 inches, and is just ready to throw you into the ground. I mean, this is really how blocks work out. Now, getting back to Matt Forte here, and again, if we're talking about NFL football, we're talking about, like the video that came 3 ago. Very slim margin for error. What all it takes is one big block in the NFL to spring an 80-yard run, one missed tackle, and then it's game over. I mean, generally in most cases, you're going to have 1 or 2 guys that on the defense have an opportunity to make a play, and in this example, when one of them is removed before he can even start to make a play, you're going to have this outcome. And like I said, I went back, I analyzed, okay, I've got a tight end down on a defensive back. This is why this was a big play. We're going to take a look at a very similar play with a very different outcome, not because of elite players on the field, but because of personnel on the field. And that's what makes sim football sim football. It's not who's on the field in terms of the name, it's who's on the field in terms of the attributes, the size, the position, and really how they interact with each other. Alright, so taking a look at this play at speed, you're going to see similar offensive and defensive set, but obviously a very different outcome. We're going to go over and take a look at the interaction here, and I know what somebody's going to say right away. Devin Hester, number 23. Didn't I just say there's no elite players involved in this? Well, you know what? Devin Hester is an elite returner. He's not playing returner right now. He's playing wide receiver, and he is not an elite receiver. There's just no two ways about it. Now, Jonathan Joseph is a physical corner. Devin Hester is a speed, agility, receiver, punt returner, kick returner. I mean, electrifying player, but not in this position. And you know what? This is what happens when you go against a speedy, shifty guy and you're a stronger, more physical cornerback. You can put him out of the way and you can come in and you can make the play. And as I said, you know what? When we go back and we break down this stuff, it's very easy to know exactly what's going on in this game. It's not just me making broad assumptions on what I think is occurring. I'm taking a look at how these guys are interacting, and I'm looking at Jonathan Joseph as a player. Look at his head tracking. He continues to stay on the halfback the entire time until he pushes off, comes over, and makes the tackle. And sure, he gets a little bit of assistance from number 93, the defensive end, but you know what? It's very clear to me exactly what the game is replicating here. Now, I want to go back for a second and just show you this from my perspective as the halfback, because you know what? Like I said, it's not just about big plays. It's about why plays don't work. It's about personnel on the field. And it's about decisions you have to make. So taking a look at this pitch, right now, from my position, I'm looking at Hester and Joseph off to my right, and I'm looking at my fullback out to go engage with the safety. But I don't have a clear-cut lane as I'm charging up my burst. You can see I don't really have a clear-cut lane to run through, because now you can see Joseph's fighting back to the inside. So, you know, the play design is to go to the outside. I make the break to the outside because I figure that's where my blocking is going to go. But Joseph is already fighting through the block. And he's going to come back off the block and stick me. And you know what? What could have been easily at this point, I mean, look, there is nothing up here except some safeties, as you can see over here, that I've outran before. There's nothing preventing this play from being that same 80-yard replay, except obviously about 20 yards shorter. Except in this example, you've got different personnel on the field, and right there is what makes the difference. That's what makes this a much better simulation aspect of football. You can go back, like I said, you can look at why a play works and find out cut and dry why. You can go back, in this case, look why a play fails and find out very easily, not just through personnel, but at the head tracking. I mean, just one more time to emphasize this, because it is just amazing to me to watch him stay fixated on the backfield, fight through once I've made my break and make contact. I mean, really, that is what you see on Sundays on any level of football, and to see that replicated in a game like this is nothing short of a masterpiece of programming, considering this game is almost 7 years old on an outdated console. Alright, and now we got Madden, an outside run. This is obviously Greg Olsen. This is obviously Jonathan Joseph. And we're just going to take a look at how these two guys interact on a few plays. You know, this is not how a tight end should be interacting with a defensive back, lowering his shoulder and just kind of pretending like he's a bull, and Jonathan Joseph's holding the flag, and you just, you know, run through it. It doesn't make any sense. You know, that's not what you expect to see in this situation. And I'll just run this a few times. We'll do it about 3 times so you can get a real feel of what's going on here on this run and how these two are going to interact. And then obviously I'll switch out to Hester, and you can always see how similar the interactions are going to be between the tight end and the defensive back. So here again, you know, the tight end is not initiating contact. He's just kind of pushing him, not down, but pushing him out toward the play. I mean, again, we're not seeing the physicality that you would expect to see. And you're really seeing Jonathan Joseph, even in that situation, fight through. Didn't stop long enough for the replay there. Again, you're seeing him fight through Greg Olsen, who then stands there to come in the backfield and make... I mean, it happened. Okay, I mean, this is what, ironically, should be happening every single time when they line up. This is what happens. I mean, this is where Madden gets it wrong. Okay, this is what happens when you have a defensive back on a tight end. This is actually initiated because it's a blindside hit. I mean, totally out of place, but that's what should be going out on the outside. Alright, so here we have Madden. Here's Devin Hester. Here's Jonathan Joseph. I'll show you real quick. It's the same play. And then we're going to run a few examples live, and you can see how they interact. And immediately, you see the interaction was very similar to what we saw with Greg Olsen. I mean, you come out here and kind of does the rodeo. You know, where he's just waving the flag, and then Devin Hester goes underneath. So let's run a few different examples and see how things work out. This is live gameplay. You can't manipulate this to any of the Madden fans who rightfully, you know, have the right to like a game, but you can't come across and tell me this is simulation. I mean, not only should Jonathan Joseph be approaching Devin Hester differently than Greg Olsen, Greg Olsen should have approached Jonathan Joseph separately if we're talking about simulation, which is what we talk about on this channel. Again, taking a look here at the interaction. Same animation over and over. It does not matter. The game does not realize that it's Devin Hester, that it's Greg Olsen. It doesn't even realize the difference between the tight end and wide receiver. Excuse me a few times. I hit pause too early. We'll go through this and then one more. And here you can just see not much difference in the interactions. And really, this is one of the things that shows you, I mean, other than that this game has a hard time being a simulation.